I will not be dictated to. I will not be threatened. I am the morning and the evening star. I am Pharaoh. I will not be dictated to. I will not be threatened. I am the morning and the evening star. I am Pharaoh. I will not be dictated to. I will not be threatened. I am the morning and the evening star. I am Pharaoh.
Oh, that was good.
That's quite good. The great thing about animation is that you can do literally dozens and dozens of takes. I think on one occasion Jeff Goldblum did 250 takes of one line because he was having fun with it. And so you can get, the thing that you know you need, and then you can try a lot of other ideas and see how they fit together later.
In June 1996, while animation on Prince of Egypt stepped up at Lakeside Drive, construction began on DreamWorks' state-of-the-art animation studio at Glendale. Inevitably, Katzenberg oversaw every detail of the new complex.
Jeffrey, as you know, is part of the resurgence of animation at Disney. He brought all that knowledge with him in order to set up the studio. So every decision that was made, he was a participant in, on how to set it up, how to make a work environment that he thought would be conducive to new talent.
With the vocal soundtrack recorded, Katzenberg was keen to get the opening of the film finished early so he could start gauging reactions. While artists worked on the 40,000 illustrations that make up the opening 7 minutes of the film, Stephen Schwartz perfected the title song.
Deliver Us was the very first thing that I wrote for the film. Having established the Hebrew tribe suffering there in the sun at the beginning, I spent a lot of time writing essentially a lullaby for Moses' mother, whom we never see again in the film, but I really wanted you to feel the pain this woman went through in having to surrender her son to the river as the only possible way to protect him. And for all she knows, he's going to not be protected anyway. He's going to drown 2 seconds after she sets him into the basket and sends him off.
The river, oh river, flow gently for me. Such precious cargo you bear. Deliver him there.
For a year, I have been hearing about this prologue. The heavens opened up. I was bestowed with sunshine. I got to see the prologue. I can honestly tell you that I was very impressed because I was surprised. I expected to see sound and fury and thunder and bombast, and what I saw was emotion. And that's what brings the people in. You have the backdrop of the spectacle, and then a very human story of a mother and a baby going on. And I think that's a good combination.
But with only the first 7 minutes finished, there was no time for complacency. The team still had to deliver tens of thousands of illustrations and hundreds of special effects. Not the least of their problems was that the technology to create these miracles hadn't yet been invented. From the outset, Katzenberg knew DreamWorks' first classically animated film had to be special. By tackling an epic which features the plagues of Egypt and the parting of the Red Sea, he was announcing that the technical possibilities of animation would be stretched to the limits. It was a challenge he relished.
Jeffrey's mandate was, for DreamWorks, that he wanted to create the digital studio of the 21st century. He wanted to use all the state-of-the-art digital equipment that was available. But one key aspect of it was he didn't want to change the culture of animation in the process. He wanted to make sure that it was there, but no artists would be off-put by the technology that was going to be here. Instead, that they would embrace the technology and realize it would just empower them to expand their creative vision.
So we have a number of artists upstairs who've cross-trained to actually work on both systems. There's a lot of desks upstairs which have a computer on one side and a drawing table on the other, and the artists are literally working between the two. They're doing scenes one way or the other, depending on what's suitable for the image they're trying to make. We're not saying this sequence will be a 3D sequence. It has a few 3D pieces in it and a few drawn pieces in it, and they come together to make the image.
You'll see chariots that characters are riding in, but actually it's a 2D animated character sitting in a 3D chariot with a 2D background. And the audience, there will be no separation of quality or texture or tone. What this means is the audience will watch the movie and they will be seeing the story unfold, and they won't be taken out of the film in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, it's fun, you one!
Visual effects in feature animated films are just as valid as they are in live action films, and just as computer intensive, creatively intensive. The Red Sea as a sequence is using something upwards of over 300,000 hours of rendering time, which is, I don't know, like over 32 years of technical rendering time, which is almost double the total rendering time on Titanic.
The Parting of the Red Sea is the dramatic conclusion of the film, and it had to be huge. It had to have an incredible scale. It had to be scary. It had to be magical. It had to be awe-inspiring. You know, this is an act of God. This is no small thing. So we had a team of a dozen animators, some of the best people in the industry, working on this for quite a while. Creating crashing waves and huge volumes of water hasn't been done in computer graphics before, and the techniques just weren't there.
We literally had to build tools from scratch, tools that didn't exist as recently as a year and a half, 2 years ago.
So by now you've actually got those ripples of force.
In order to really achieve huge groups of characters working at the worksite in Egypt, we had to generate by the characters 3D in order to build them three-dimensionally and duplicate to 80, 100,000 characters working on the temple site. So to do that traditionally would have been insane. You couldn't draw that fast enough. So we had to generate most of those three-dimensionally and manipulate them in the character walking through the 2D environment.
There are more special effects in this film, digital effects, than any movie ever made. The result of which is a film that is simply unlike anything anybody's ever seen before. Hopefully they'll like it.
DreamWorks' digital studio was rapidly taking shape at Glendale. When finished, it will be the most sophisticated animation studio in the world. It will house 1,000 people and produce animation for television as well as cinema. But the future of DreamWorks Animation was now being decided at their Lakeside building, where The Prince of Egypt neared completion.
Erosion on Moses, rim lights on the ceiling.
Everyone sought absolute excellence for each frame of the 90-minute film. 1 million minute details had to be perfect, even if it meant costly animation had to be scrapped and done again.
If we actually separated them on separate levels, we could get that right-hand one to become bigger.
Yes, that would be good.
Character cleanup to do each sandal separately, on a different level.
And while Katzenberg and his team were perfecting their movie, in December 1997, the American animation community was paying close attention to the release of Anastasia from 20th Century Fox. This traditionally animated feature was in the Disney mold, but without that famous logo, many thought it was doomed to fail.
We dealt with the media who didn't think that anybody but Disney could do it, with business partners who thought nobody but Disney could do it, and with the public who thought nobody but Disney could do it. And Anastasia doing $65 million in the U.S. and setting a new benchmark for classic animated films was very important, you know, for the industry. Hopefully Prince of Egypt, you know, goes and does $100 million. I would welcome that success.
Spring 1998. Hans Zimmer, Stephen Schwartz, and the core team traveled to London to record the music.
You know, anybody actually saying you have to write music that reflects Egypt from centuries ago, that's a sort of a vacuous statement to make, because they didn't record anything, so who would know? You know, and at the same time, I mean, for me it was important to not make this a true Bible picture about Moses and all that stuff, but make it relevant to today. And the only way I could do that was by writing music that would sound good to us today. You know, ultimately my job is very simple. Write from the heart. You know, try to be as truthful as possible about what you write. Either you're going to have a decent emotional experience or not. And I really do think that's what it's about at the end of the day.
Wow! District nurses.
Whoa, that's a low blow.
Jeffrey thought that was a low blow. Gav, the timing in the roll, in the rich, is not spot on at the moment.
Here we go. Go.
What I gotten very good at is pretending that I had far more room than possible. I mean, basically sort of manipulating time, so it feels like these scenes are just a little bit longer. I mean, you know, you look at Lawrence of Arabia, David Lean movie, I mean, he sits on that camera forever with Omar Sharif coming towards you on the camel. We can't do that. You know, we have so much story to tell.
Back in Los Angeles, animation on Prince of Egypt was done. Though much post-production work still lay ahead, this was a major landmark in the film's long road to completion.
There are levels that character animation has been done on this picture that I simply haven't seen in an animated picture before. And part of this is because of the material, the things that the animators, as actors, are being asked to perform. The emotions that Moses goes through, for instance, are very complex and conflicted and sophisticated, and this is at a level of performance which simply hasn't been asked for in an animated picture before.
With the film nearly finished, it was important to fire up the marketing machine.
This movie is being handled the way in which you would handle this kind of story if it had been done as a live-action film.
But can the marketing experts sell the movie to newer, bigger audiences?
This is going to be something of a milestone, and the performance of Prince of Egypt will have an effect on what follows it, and whether all of the studios who have 5, 6 pictures in active development carry through with those 5 or 6 pictures, or whether we start seeing cutbacks.